Hello, budget friends. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Welcome or welcome back to Budgeting Over 40. I'm Melissa, and in this video, we are going to wrap up our monthly spending for February 2025. We're doing it here in YNAB. So if you're interested in seeing how we spent $10,762.42, please stay tuned. All right, you guys. So we're going to jump right in and talk about the numbers. We are in the reflect section of YNAB. We are going to jump over into the income versus expense tab first, because before we can talk about the expenses, I need to show you guys how much income was brought in the month of February. So here, the first line that's up is cash rewards, $57.16. Now, most of this was applied back to the balance on the card, but there was $22.86 that I received from Ibotta. This was transferred directly into my inflow account to be used within the month. So if you have not seen my debt update will reveal what I did with extra money that we received. So take a look at that video. I will link it in the cards or I will put it in the description down below. Now, next is daily cash. Now, daily cash is rewards that I receive from using my Apple credit card. The money gets transferred to my high yield savings account through Apple. This is with Marcus Goldman Sachs. $43.24 was all of the cash rewards that I received for just using my Apple card. Next is money from hubby. He was able to transfer into our joint bills account $3,827 even. Now, if this is your first time here, hubby was working full time before, but now, as of the month of February, he is fully self employed. He is now working for our small business, and he was able to increase the amount of money that he sends into our joint household account. So $1,500 was the amount that he sent per pay period, and that was lovely. The other amounts here was just reimbursement money that we did use our personal accounts to fund some expenses for the business. So this is just the reimbursement coming back out. So $1,500 was what he sent over for each paycheck. Then there is monthly interest of $2.97. Then my paycheck came in at $5,565.63. Now, this is just two regular pay periods. Each pay period is $2,377.97. And if you have seen my monthly budget for February, I did talk about getting a clothing allowance stipend. I had budgeted to get $850 because that's what I was getting previous years, but I changed some things on my W-4, so more taxes was taken out. So I brought home $809.69. Next is reimbursement that I got for $93.62. This came from Capital One Bank. Now, if you didn't see that, also go ahead and check out the debt update for February. I did talk about that. Capital One had some issues back, I think it is in January, and they were able to refund $93.62. The last line is my SSI benefits for $1,375.50. And that's a total income for the month of February, $10,965.12. So now we can jump back over to the spending breakdown and talk about how that money was spent. So, all right, here we go. We're just going to click on groups just so I can break them down per group. So in home expenses, that is 31% of the amount spent. So like I mentioned, $10,762.42 was the amount of money we spent in the month of February. Home expenses was 31% of that. So let's take a look. Our rent was $2,500 budgeted and spent. Heat and oil, so I did budget some money for heat and oil, but I never know how much I'm going to pay. In the month of February, it was $402.72. Our cell phone bill came in at $257.63. Electric came in at $107, and the internet and home phone came in at $88.99. This is just the typical expenses that we would spend on home. Now, our next category is debt. Now, debt here is saying 26% for a total amount of $2,600. $771.86. So I am going to click on this and I'm going to talk about what you see here. Now, debt in YNAB, how it's reflected when you do your summary for the end of the month, it does not talk about or show you credit cards. The only thing that it will reflect is if you paid credit card interest in that given month. Now, I will tell you that I spent more on debt in the month of February, but let's just talk about what was spent. You could see here, these are mainly the loans that we have. Lending Club minimum payment was $1,059.22. Auto loan, $939.23. Upgrade personal loan, $629.14. The credit card interest was for three cards at 104.27 cents. Now this was $63.84 to my Capital One number two card, Chase $21.53, and Apple $18.90. Now I did discuss these also in the debt update. Then there was student loan. The minimum payment of $40 was made. Now, what I want to show you right now, I'm going to jump over into my Google Sheets and I'm going to show you what else was paid out because I need to show you what I paid for credit cards. So let's take a look. So here we are looking at the debt section on my Google Sheets budget. This was for the month of February, as you can see here. But what we really need to talk about is the debt. So credit card minimums, I did budget to pay out $218, but I actually sent out $233.61. Now this is because when I did the budget, I did not owe, or I really didn't think that I was going to owe anything on my Chase card. Now I did mention to you I had to pay some interest for Chase because there was residual interest after I paid off the balance in January. So that's why we paid a little bit more in the minimums. The student loan here is the same. The auto loan is the same. I have the personal loans combined, but then there's the snowball or my extra debt. So here in the extra debt, what was budgeted was $46. This was my Chase minimum payment that I'm rolling into the next debt that I'm paying, which is my Apple card. But we were able to send over $227.01. Now, if you want to see a breakdown of how I was able to do that, like I said, check out my debt update that will explain everything further. So even though YNAB is telling me one number, the actual number that we sent over in debt was $3,128.21. Now I'm going to jump back over to YNAB where you can see this is a big difference because this does not reflect the credit cards. But we're going to continue moving on. Our next section is food. Food was 15% of the amount that we spent in February. It came in at $1,581.92. Now, the biggest category in here is my groceries slash consumables. So I did combine groceries and consumables, which is my household stuff, which is laundry detergent, fabric softener, dishwasher pods, dishwasher, liquid, toilet paper, paper towel, everything is lumped because I always shop for them together. So I'm like, why am I separating? Because I don't usually separate it when I get to the cash register, but I'm like, you know what? I'll just lump everything under groceries and consumable. Now, I spent $1,421.48. That's a big number, and this is way over budget because in the month of February, I did only budget to spend $1,000. Now, hear me out. Inflation, it is crazy. It's everywhere. I mean, the price of eggs right now is astronomical. But not only that, everything is high priced. Now, why we went over so much? I did tell you hubby is now self-employed. When he was working full time, he used to be out of the house before 7 o'clock. Now he is leaving the house just before 8 o'clock. That means he is eating breakfast at home. Before, he was eating breakfast outside the house and it was coming out of his personal money. Now, because he's eating up so much more in the house, we had to buy more groceries. So I think I need to reconsider the amount of money that we're putting towards groceries and consumable for the months to come. Or I just need to come up with a meal plan that I can have something, set aside or prepare myself for what's to happen during each month when it comes down to food. Because before, He was basically eating maybe once a day in the house, which is dinner, but now it's breakfast and it's dinner. Sometimes there's lunch in between. So we need to reconsider. But what we spent was that much. Another thing, too, the kids were home for winter break for 1 week. And let me tell you guys, all my babies did, all they did was eat. They ate day in and day out for a full week being at home, plus the weekend before and the weekend after that week. So I really didn't think about it, not thinking that they were going to be home. I don't know what I was doing. I should have planned more. But you know what? This was covered within the budget, even though we were over, we took care of it. So let's move on. Dining out was 157.22 and snacks was $3.22. Now, next category is miscellaneous, which is 8% of the amount spent, $818.65. Now, miscellaneous is only the reimbursements for the business. So this has nothing to do with anything within the budget. This is just monies that is coming in and going back out. So it's sort of like a wash, but I do put it in here because it is going through our personal accounts. Next category that's up is my babies. We spent $733.34, which is 7% of the total spent. Now, for child support, I spent $526 even. The braces, the last payment, for $166. And in clothes and shoes, we spent $41.34. Now, the next category is health and wellness. This also came in at 7%, $711.65. Now, the first one up is dental for $550. Now, I did spoke about this when I did one of my budget with me's. So I have been going to the periodontist. I'm in the process of getting an implant. I had to do a 3D scan to see how they're going to place what they call an abutment into my bone just so they could put a crown on it. So $550 is the scan. I'm still waiting on my insurance to do a reimbursement. I think they're going to send over $250. I'm hoping, but that check has not hit us yet. So we're still waiting on that. In copay, we spent $125. Over the counter medicine, we spent $31.65, and prescriptions came in at $5. Next category is cars. This one came in at just 4% of the total spent for $390.43. Insurance for the cars came in at $237.12. Car fuel came in way under for what I budgeted in the month of February, $153.31. Now, with car fuel, it all depends on the amount of driving and the time frame in which I buy gas. So it's up and down. 1 month it will be up, the other month it's down. All right, so the next category is personal, just 2% of the total spent for $251.28. I spent $245.56 on Spend How I Want. This was, I bought a pair of boots for hubby to work in for $206.37. I did get him some wool socks because he's working outdoors, $37.32. And then there was a charge on Google for $1.87. And the next category is braids and things. We spent $5.72. Next category is subscriptions. We spent a total of $87.47. It's less than 1% of the total spent. Peloton came in at 44. Next is Amazon Prime, $16.28. You'll start to see this within the budget again because we were charging it to our business card, but we have switched it back over because we have opened up an Amazon business account. So now we don't need to use the personal side of the account for Amazon anymore. So now that we've taken the business card out of Amazon, the regular Prime for personal use, we have to put a credit card back in there. So now this is being charged back to our household stuff. iCloud storage at $9.99, SiriusXM at $7.99, HP Inc. at $7.05, and Google Cloud at $2.16. Now, our last category that's up is gifts and giving. we spent a total of $59.48, and this is also less than 1% of the total spent. Now, this is all for Friendsgiving. Now, remember that Valentine's Day was in the month of February, and this is just for my kids to bring in gifts for their friends in school. So, I did buy some goodies between BJ's, Amazon, and CVS. That's the amount that we spent, $59.48. Now, that's all of our categories. Like I said, the total amount that we spent in the month of February was $10,762.42. It's a little bit more because it's not considering the amount that we spent in credit cards, but nonetheless, this is what YNAB is showing. Our most frequent category group spent in was food, of course, at 33 transactions. The average daily spending was $384.37, and our largest outflow was our rent for $2,500. So that is it, you guys. This is how we spent our money in the month of February. We didn't do bad. So I'm just going to hop back over into the income versus expense tab. So as you can see here, the total income, like I mentioned before, $10,965.12. The total expenses, I'm just going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, $10,762.42. That leaves us with a net income in the month of February in the green. This is in the green, you guys. And even though it's only $202.70, it's in the green because we spent less than we brought in. And this is major movement in the right direction for us because there were plenty of months. I think I mentioned the last time when I closed out January, in plenty of months, we were in the red when it came down to our net income at the end of the month. So, you guys, thank you so much for taking the time out to hang out with me and listening on how we spent our money. So, how did you guys do in the month of February? Please leave me a comment down below. I'm interested to find out how you guys did. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I would love for you to follow along with my journey and just watch us climb out of this hole that we've dug over the years. So, thank you so much, you guys, for watching. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.